Hello, everybody. Welcome to Whiz Bang Marketing for Comics. Here we are with our final week, week 4, when you finally arrive at the start. And Jeff's gonna explain what that means because it's a great title. I love it. It's very intriguing, and so we're gonna learn all about all that. So yeah, thanks again for joining us. This again is it's a 4-week masterclass. So if you're joining us here for the first time, not to worry. You can rewatch weeks 1, 2, and 3 from the same Eventbrite ticket that you have. So you're here, you're joining us. You can keep rewatching and viewing these in the past, review them, go over the concepts and the ideas. But really, we're hoping to some of these August sessions to really help with what you're drawing, you're creating your art. What do you do with this, and how do you really help market and brand yourself? So I really appreciate all the insight that Jeff's been giving us, and so we'll finish this off with week 4 today. So I just want to thank all our partners in this project. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts. Then we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, and the Wasaga Beach Public Library. I want to remind everyone that you can get these iPads we have available through the libraries. They're loaded with Procreate, the software that Jeff's been demonstrating in with all the illustration. And we will start to have some in-person programming in the coming weeks as well. So be sure to check out with each local library, see what's available, and we hope to see some of you in person as well. We will continue the virtual aspect, so the sessions will still be presented in a virtual online world as well, in some way. So you can continue to join us that way. So that'll continue on Saturdays as well. Be sure you can send emails, and I'll put all the information up as we proceed. So without any further ado, let me pass it over to Jeff. Here we go. Here's Jeff.
Hi, and thank you, Tom, and welcome back, everyone, to this is week 4 of Whiz Bang, and this is we're going to play a little bit of Let's Pretend here today. Let's pretend that you've become the success. You've got a feature out there that has a market, has followers. You're able to have the resources to to promote it and to get things going, and you've created something really exciting. And again, we're playing let's pretend. I'm not an expert in any of this. This is in our minds. We're playing let's pretend. The trek is over, but is it over? You've reached the pinnacle of what you were trying to reach, but is it really over? And this is something you might not even think about until you've reached a certain age and thought, what if I got to that point where I was a success? What would I do then? What challenges would I face? It's basically, it's like landing on the moon. And then you have to, what's there? What challenges do I have while I'm here? So it's, you arrive somewhere that you've never been before, or maybe even no one has ever been before, and you've got new challenges. How do you explore it? What are the challenges? How do you manage the challenges, the challenging terrain, especially legally? And it's a really different animal. Than what you've been doing. You've been basically just doing your stuff, and now this is a whole new field. So the adventure continues, and we want to get into some concepts that I think they're not things that you've things that you've even pondered, but it gives you a step into what could be ahead of you. And this is something when I was in college at Sheridan College, this was something our instructors tried to get our heads around, because it is a very difficult concept to conceptualize if you've never been there. So what you have to do is kind of play let's pretend, like we're doing today, and get into the mindset where you're kind of exploring what could happen down the road. And this is I was very fortunate to have that. Of course, we just didn't know what they were talking about. But as I got thinking later on, when I grew older, and now I'm 62, so that's pretty old. You do start to think of things a lot differently than you do when you're 18. When I took the course back in Sheridan College back in 1979, so it's a lot of things have changed, and including me. And but let's again play let's pretend, and we will. I'm just going to slip over to my tablet here. I might, and turn it toward the screen here. We'll just move it a little closer, and then maybe Tom will be able to switch it over to the tablet once in a while too, or to the iPad. So I have here, I have the our title card here. I'm just going to take that down, and I'm going to go to our first graphics card here. Now, creative property. Now let's pretend your creative property is a hit. You've got a syndicate or some production entity that is ready to explore this with you and to take it on with you. So this is a really exciting time. The creative property laws and they're worldwide, many of them, and some of them here in Canada are not the same as those in the United States. So that's always something to keep in mind, and keep in mind also that I'm not an expert on any of this. This is something, if you want to explore this deeper, check with the experts. I'm going to be saying this all day here. Check with an expert, with a legal authority. At all times, go over this with them at all times, because I could be errant, and I'm not trying to be errant. I'm just trying to get you to get your head around the fact that this could happen. This could happen to you, and I hope it does. I hope that you are successful, and this is a possible thing for you to do down the road with your work, because I know you work hard at it, as I have in my life, and it's really important to you, and something that's important to you that you've poured yourself into is not something to be taken lightly. So this is something that I discovered quite a while back, and we were told in college that we had to put a C on our work to prove that it was copyright to us. We had to put a date on it. Now, I understand in Canada this is not necessarily true. If the property is yours, it is yours whether or not you've put a C on it. It is your creative property. Now, I do it anyway because I'm just in the habit of doing it. I always was concerned about this, and I'm sure a lot of you are as well. Putting that C on your work is sometimes it's like a stamp of approval too. It's just something that you can it gives you that sense that you've done that you've done this work. You're proud of it. You've claimed it. So let's go to number 3. Now, if you wish to protect a property to yourself, if you wish to protect a property that you've worked on, to get the entire collection, which is not really possible with comic strips, especially if they're ongoing. But the best way to do it is to do the initial maybe 2 or 3 months of comic strips that you've done, or cartoons or material outright that you've done. Compile it in some form. Let's see, even if it's just photocopies of your originals, in some form, collect those into an envelope. Send it by registered mail to yourself. Now, the postal people will think, what's wrong with this guy or gal? Because it seems like a weird thing to do. But the method to the madness is this. If you send a registered letter of your work to yourself, it will be dated, and it will be proven to be your property at a certain date. You keep it in a file. You keep it unopened. I have several of my concepts that I mailed to myself that are still in unsealed envelopes in my person, on my person here, somewhere in the dark recesses of my residence, and they've never been opened. So, but I've never really worried too much about somebody stealing the concepts I've done. But it's a good and a cheap way to do it. The only cost to you is the registered mail, and it might be $15 to $30, $40. I'm not sure of that. Again, check with an expert. Go to a post office and see how much it would cost. But I'll tell you, if it's worth the peace of mind if you don't have to worry about somebody stealing your comic strip and selling it to newspapers. And I remember having dreams when I first started this of people be opening a newspaper, and there's my comic strip by another signature, another artist. So it's a worry, but if you do that, it'll just be peace of mind more than anything else. But it is it's a smart legal thing to do as well. So that's one option. Another thing is to register at the copyright registry office. But unless you're sure it's going to be worth that investment, this number 3 is the best, cheapest way. And if you've poured all your money into something that you don't know is going to work, then that really isn't too wise, I don't think. I would advise against that, and I think just about every legal person would, except the ones that are greedy and want your money. They would advise against it too, because it really, unless you're reasonably sure it's going to be a hit, or unless somebody else believes it will be a hit and has the resources to pour into it, quite a different story. So, and have a winner, and this is, all doubt has been eliminated by this time. Then you investigate applying to a U.S. Copyright Office. Now, the reason I say this is, I'm no expert. This is just based on my experience, and in the type of business I wanted to do, I foresaw that I would be probably, if I wanted to be a success at it, I would have to make sure I got into the U.S. markets. It would have to be U.S. Newspaper markets that I would be working in. So that would be the time when that is crystal clear that's going to happen. That would be the time to investigate applying to a U.S. Copyright Office and then getting your copyright material together then. And that's, again, I'm no expert. Check with your lawyer or someone that a friend or somebody that has that expertise that can help you out. And then when you have that winner, then you're off to the races. And once you have your copyrights in place, you should be in a lot better shape. Let's go to some more about creative property now. Now, creative property can be used by other people. Now, this is what is happening now with the advent of internet and social media. People are stealing a lot of cartoons and rejigging them so that they make them totally a different work altogether. So, and I see a lot of like Calvin and Hobbes, where they've rewritten the dialogue, and Peanuts, where they've rewritten dialogue in the memes and in Instagram and Facebook and other ones as well, and even in YouTube videos, I've seen this happen too, where they will take the imagery, and create something totally different that the artist never intended in the first place. So there's something there that it's a whole new area for cartoonists to kind of think about. And so now these things can be done. There are things that people can do with another person's artwork under certain circumstances. So this is just what I've read online. And again, I'm no expert. This is and it seems like this made a lot of sense to me. But again, double check with legal authority and make sure that this is true. Copyrighted work can be used fair use under the fair use category under the following circumstances. News reporting, if it's being covered as a news event, and the news media are trying to put things into context, they use a copy of the person's artwork. That's fair use. That is not that's not an infringement of copyright. For research purposes, if somebody was doing a research paper on a certain subject and you had done a cartoon on something that related to it, and they thought that was pertinent to pertinent to place into their research. It is possible could they could include it in their research as part of the research. And for criticism and reviews, now if they were doing a critique or a review on your work, so that they would have a context in which to do that, they would be able to include a sample of your work to do that. So it's something where you're not involved, and maybe you're being shot down by somebody in somebody's eyes, but to do that, if they're trying to make a point of some kind, or they're trying to maybe they're just thinking of improving your work or helping you improve a bit. That's their purpose. It's a valid thing to use your work. And parody. So if they're doing a parody of something, and they and your work is a fairly noteworthy thing, and they think that would be a recognizable thing to put in the parody, that's considered fair use as well. Now, I've seen Mad Magazine do this. I don't know if I've ever seen it. If I've seen it for quite a while, where they would take a cartoonist, like Charles Schultz said, they would mimic the drawing beautifully, and then they would put it would be with a theme. I think the one I remembered with comic strip artists were, what if the comic strip characters lived like real people, and they were in the news like real people. So there would be things like Charlie Brown has to go to a psychiatric ward, and fun things like that. Just it was a very silly thing, but it was a parody, and it was actually a tribute to the comic book art, or the comic strip artists, in a way, and very, very funny. So that's fair use as well. And a lot of times the comic book art or the comic strip artists would even participate in that, and would be that. It's kind of definitely a cartoonist thing to do. Nonprofit. So if a nonprofit had a need for using something that you had done, that is a possible thing for them to do through fair use. So if it was a nonprofit group wanted to promote a certain thing in your comic that week had delivered the message perfectly, and they thought they liked to use that, they certainly could use that. And education, for educational reasons, for the same as the criticism and reviews and parody reasons, education. If you had done a feature that translated a point well to teach, that could be too. And this is a way now I'm using my artwork to help you learn in these sessions as well. So I'm doing that as well. And I should point out, and this is what probably every lawyer will tell you, is that they should always seek your you should say yes to this. They should allow you to know what they're doing, and let you endorse it, or it's not something that they should just go and steal it and take it and say, well, I can do this because it's fair use. They should seek you out and tell you that they're planning to do this, and it should be with your approval at all times. I think that's only fair. And if it does that, maybe just if you see that happening, it doesn't hurt to just write a letter and say, or have your lawyer write a letter and say, I saw you had, you had put my cartoon at for an animal rights thing that I don't approve of for whatever reason, and I would like to be able to view what you're placing it on, and allow me to give approval to that. And I think that's not only fair, but it's just, if you want to build goodwill, you really need to do that. You can't just say, well, I'm going to use Lynn Johnston's cartoon this week for my and expect her to like it if you haven't conferred with her yet. So that's it's always something to consider. So that's a little bit of education on fair use. And again, I'm no expert. Make sure you verify with the authorities, the people that know, if and that takes a bit of investigation on its own. Okay, so let's go into the really interesting field of freelancing. Now, freelancing is something, some of us are lucky to be able to do something as a staff member or as on payroll, but freelancing is something that has been available to most of us a lot in our lives, and certainly it was something that I've been doing to some level most of my career, and with some exceptions. When I was too busy doing a day job, that would obviously preclude being able to have freelance time to do it, because that would be done on time that you have other than working full time. And that, I didn't always have a lot of that, and sometimes I don't now. Freelancing. Consider getting an HST number. Now that's you can apply to that through the Canadian Revenue Agency or through Canada, the government of Canada. It's something that a lot of businesses do, and especially if you're over a certain income level, and you can certainly check out the Canada website, the Government of Canada website, and there's information that helps you to do that. Certainly worth investigating, and if your income level has reached a certain point, and if let's pretend it has, then it's something worth exploring, and something you would have to explore at a certain income level. Now, licensing. This is another thing. This is another question, another one of those plateaus that you would reach on this brave new world. How do I manage this? Do I license research? So licensing can be like selling your work, having it used as a way to promote something, or so basically having it clip art is a way of licensing, putting your work in clip art, and I've noticed a lot of cartoonists, not me, of course, but others who have done very well, have gotten involved in things like cartoon stock. So they're part of a stock archive of cartoons and gags, and have done pretty well doing it. It's not a bad source of income. I don't think I've heard of anybody making mega bucks on it. But if you can get accepted, and some artists have done very well with that. If you have a way of getting involved there, that's certainly worth a try. Let's see if you have created a character that is popular. You may want to create novelties or specialties, putting them on T-shirts, having 3D figures made of them. That's something that's very interesting. And as a child, I always was fascinated that a cartoon character that was a 2D image on a TV screen or on a newspaper could be a 3D plush toy or a action figure or whatever. That was always fascinating to me. So that's something to explore too, the licensing aspect of it. And it's something that you can do now. You don't have to wait till the time comes. You can, it is even possible to get these products of your characters made, and and give them as gifts or whatever in the interim until you become get the big contract. So it's a good thing to explore. Ask other artists who do this. Okay, so if you have an idea of what you'd like your feature to go and to to go to like marketing or to specialties or toys. I don't know really how to put it. I guess the marketing, this is part of branding, of course, too, and we've talked about that. It's if possible, if they'll talk to you, and some of them will, put a just say, how do you do you like doing this? Do you would you recommend doing it? So that's never a bad idea to just ask other artists. I remember talking to Lynn Johnston. This is just an example here of marketing, and I remember she had no marketing, no action figures or nothing like that. But she did have an animated feature with Atkinson Film Arts, where I later, after she was had her features there, the bestest present, I think the one feature was that she did at Atkinson's, which was like a special, a TV special on CTV, and I think it's still out there in different places. And she later had a TV series, I believe, too, an animated series that was on a number of channels, I think Cartoon Network, etc. And she told me she preferred not to do that, that she thought it kind of cheapened what she did. And it was a very interesting comment, because I always thought if I had some of my characters like that in 3D form and I could have them around my office, it would be really cool. But I kind of, when she told me that, I kind of got what she said. It gets kitschy. Maybe people start taking it less seriously. It takes on a different, what can I say? I've lost the words here. It becomes less serious anyway, and that people will take you less seriously, the readers. And I thought that was interesting that she had made that choice not to do that, although she made the choice to do animated features, and they fit very well in that mode, in that realm. And that was pretty neat. I thought that she could do that, and I worked with many of the people who worked with her on Bestest Present, and when I worked on Teddy Ruxpin, a lot of the people that I worked with there had worked with her and had very high comments about her. So, and again, this is why we're doing this. This is number 3. Know what you want beforehand. So this is good to be able to play Let's Pretend and to look ahead and think, this is what I want to do. I've thought of everything over. I thought it over before this feature was popular all over the earth, and I know that this is what I want to do, and I'm going to forge out, and I'm going to seek this out and try to make it become a reality. Then number 4, create your plan. So that's, once you know what you want to do, that's the time to sit down and plan it all out. Now, do you want to, of course, if you know what you want beforehand, you would know who your audience is. You would know what they would appreciate you doing in that way, in a way of marketing or producing specialties, promotions, that sort of thing. Would you like to have your character advertising certain products? And that's something a lot of cartoonists have done over the years. Charles Schulz, that was one of the things he did with Peanuts. He would have them advertising many, many products that I think, I'm pretty sure, if I know him correctly, he would have had a chance to say, well, I don't like this product, or I do like this product, and make sure he had full approval in the whole process. Because I think one of the things you would find if you get to the point where you can do this is that there will be a lot more people involved than yourself. And you try to make sure that when this is, considering this is your feature, that your concerns are the number one concerns all the way through, and that you have last refusal of everything. And that should be number one. You don't want to, at least I don't think you want to, maybe you do. You don't want to have other people making key decisions, maybe small production decisions that you wouldn't have an expertise on, but certainly you wouldn't want somebody else to say, okay, let's kill this character and we're going to create this new monster character in Peanuts and that kills everybody, and we're going to create a toy and say it's a Peanuts toy. You're definitely not going to agree to that. But that, in the bigger scheme of things, this is what can happen if you lose control at some point. So try to maintain that creative control, that it's got to fit. It's got to fit the whole thing. And let's face it, you're the expert on that, nobody else. And again, check with legal authorities on all the way through. And then once you've got your plan together, promote. Just pound it. Get out there and promote it. It's a lot of work. Plus, you're doing all the work doing the feature as well. And but if you promote it and you're behind it, then that's and get it out there. We have social media. You have things where you can do it. There are ways of connecting with fans now, if that's what you need to do to keep promoting your brand. There are I can't remember the names of them, but there's ways of having fans ask you questions. I mean, and here, if you have any questions for me here, I welcome you to send any kind of questions or concerns or thoughts. And I love interacting with you folks, and I hope this is good too. But this is what it's all about, is to interact and make everything better for everybody else. And that's my opinion, but I think that's just the right of people to do that. Okay, so let's presume you've got a character here. Let's just take it a little further here. I've created this Skippy dog character. It was a character I've drawn since I was a boy, and when I was a boy, we had a dog named Skippy, and there is a dog named Skippy in the comics now, so don't mix them up. This is a different Skippy. Skippy the dog. So I thought of a way your character could promote someone's business. Now, you could, if you knew the owner of Bow Wow Bits, for example, and your Skippy character you thought would be a good fit for it, you could be paid by Bow Wow Bits to do graphics and artwork for them that they would pay for to be advertisements in newspapers and storefront 3D storefront displays and that sort of thing. Which was something I always thought was neat when I was a kid, and we'd go into a grocery store and we saw a cartoon character that I was familiar with holding up Kool-Aid or holding up Coca-Cola or Pepsi-Cola, and in a 3D type display. That it would be so special to see that as a child. So that's something I always thought would be a pretty cool thing to do. So this is something that if you're thinking in that way, in a very entrepreneurial way, you could come up with these designs for your own amusement, or you could actually go to a company like Bow Wow Bits and submit a drawing and say, I think this might be a good ad campaign for you. And it's and who knows whether they'd like it or not. They may just totally say no, or but it's good practice for you too. It's a good thing to get your name out there and to try to be try to get people to know who you are and to know what you do. And they might say, oh, I've never read Skippy the dog in the newspaper. I think I'll read it, and you might actually create something down the road. So it's things like this are good. It may be embarrassing when they say no, and 99% of the time they will, probably, if you're kind of very fairly unknown. They'll probably say no thanks. But I didn't know you did a comic strip in the Herald Tribune. That'll be something to look for next time I read it. So it's good to touch base that way too. And if you've got a catchy character too, and that if it's if they decide that the character fits their product that they're doing, because they're obviously in a business that they're they're image conscious as well, and they're trying to and a lot of these companies will have their own promotion departments and production departments that will do a lot of this stuff already. So you may find when you do this, you'll be bouncing into other people, and they may think you're trying to steal their jobs from them. So always consider that too, that you don't want to ruffle too many feathers, but you do want to show that you think you can help you promote it. Okay, so that's again, this is me dreaming, and I thought this would be a cool thing to do. And certainly when I was a kid, when I would see these, it always made me feel good that they could do this, and it seemed to bring it down to a very reachable level, and it works. It definitely works because it worked on me. I know. Okay, so let's go to another image here. So I thought it would be kind of neat, and I don't know, not everybody will agree with me, I know, but the I always thought it would be neat to have a concept of a superhero who was an independent superhero who was not owned by Marvel Comics or DC Comics. So it's not owned by the Disney and Warner Brothers conglomerates out there. And he's just trying to be a superhero and promote himself. And just kind of as a low budget superhero, he'd sell anything for you. He'd sell your car. He'd tell people about your yard sale, or he'd tell people about your restaurant special that day. he'd take anything on, and just to promote it, and to keep going, so he could stop crime, so he could be in a position to stop criminals. So this is a thought that I had years ago, and I still think it could be quite funny. I just don't know how seriously people in business would take it. But if they could get a sense of humor and try to have a little fun with it, I think it could be a lot of fun. And so you could take here the add product here. You could take that out, and let's put him back in there. Let's put a possible. Here we go. Here's a possible product here. Like, what could that be? You could have napkins, or you could have. Yeah, let's think of some ideas that he could have here to promote, that he could sell. And he's obviously a salesman. He's got the product placement and showing it, and it could be like a bar of soap. It could be it could be a throat lozenge. It could be let's see, it could be a Rubik's Cube. It could be a new CD that he's selling. The CD. Anyway, it's so much fun to think of. That could be a box of tea, homemade tea that a local person wants to sell. So if you had the right product, the character, it's a bit satirical but quite fun. And I think if you had a sense of humor. And let's face it, we live in very serious times. I don't know why people don't want to try to show they have a sense of humor more. It's just sad that we have to be so serious and unfairly unfair to ourselves, and just not taking things a little lighter. It's anyway, if you had a customer or an advertiser who didn't take themselves too seriously, could don't mind a little bit of ribbing, or don't mind a little bit of a little bit of humor, they could find this quite fun. But again, we're dreaming, aren't we? Maybe we're dreaming in Technicolor. Maybe it's a dream that will never come true. But it's fun to think of these things, and when you think of these things, don't close your mind and say this is going to be the way it's going to be. It could be something totally different that you want to do. And let's take that away. Let's put the self-promoted product here. Yes, and I think a superhero character that promotes things, and that's not a bad thing. It's a good character who obviously trying to help, and just offer his endorsement of products, and um, that's there's a lot of celebrities out there who do that, who do this, who are out there trying to um, make a little extra money by endorsing products. It's Some of them are big athletes. In fact, I think professional athletes, earn more through endorsements than they do probably playing the sports they play in, and they make millions doing that. So it's certainly not an inappropriate thing to do, and it's even for a comic strip character, it's why not? I have to say that it's not something that I think is an incorrect thing to ask to do. So if you have the dynamic burning desire to do it, and you have a character that can do it, and a lot of products just want something that will catch people's attention, that people can become familiar with, or people like, especially. They're not against it entirely. It may take more than just they may not just say, "Oh yeah, let's do it right now." It may take a bit of negotiating to do it, but it is something that if it's good for all parties, it's a good thing to explore. Okay, so that's taken it about as far as I can take it, and it might be further than any of us could ever take it. But I've really enjoyed exploring the features with you today. I'm just going to turn the camera back to myself here, and I'm just going to summarize a bit with what I've said. And again, we played Let's Pretend today. We're just going through some things that may not happen for quite a while, and hopefully they will happen though. But you've kind of got your mind going. What can I do? If I get to this point that I want to be, where can I take it from here? And it's fun to play Let's Pretend, and we should do that once in a while, just to take our minds off of things for a while. We do have reality to deal with, and we're going to be dealing with it anyway. So, but we're creative people. The creative process is where we evolve new and old ideas, and take them to new places. And we don't have to be held in by limiting thoughts and ideas. You have, as a creative person, that creative process has probably taken you through some difficult times, and I know they have myself. And it's a way of coping with things. And if you choose to cope with it in a way that is just total fantasy and maybe madness at a certain level, if it doesn't hurt anyone, then it's not improper to do that. So don't feel bad if you take things this way, and you check with lawyers and say, what if my comic strip became the most popular comic strip in Canada? What would be my legal options as far as creating toys, or getting endorsements for my character to do endorsements of products? It's not improper at all, and I think it would get them thinking too, what could happen. And maybe that's why it hasn't happened, is because nobody thought to take it to their attention. And I don't want to have everybody go to their lawyers tomorrow and rake up a big bill too, and make sure you have the resources to manage that. But you can just call an office and say, how would I find out? The conversation has to start somewhere. How would I explore this? And you might get an answer you can't afford, and that's fine. Keep checking though. Keep exploring. Ask other people that you. There are people out there who are doing it. If you see a product that, if you know what you like and you see a product that does that, and you can contact that person and find out what you can. Yeah, it's a good thing to also build up friendships and build relationships as well, to interact with people, and that's always a good thing. And certainly, you're welcome to interact with me or with Tom here at the creator space. And we're it's marketing is in the new frontier, basically, of things. So I hope you'll do that. And with that, I'm just going to say thank you for watching the series. I hope some or any of this, or at least some of it, helped. And I'm going to turn it over to Tom.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff. Fantastic. Great wrap up. And yeah, really enjoyed that session. And I think, just like what Jeff's saying in terms of, we've touched upon some of this in some of the workshops too, if you've been joining us for different ones. But I think, the legal advice, again, we're giving some general, kind of generalizations, and then definitely seek out as you go. But I think, a lot of the concepts go across different lines. So music, illustration, film, all of these creative things. At the end of the day, really that whole intellectual property, like what you're doing as artists, we need to always consider that, and there's a value to it. The value could be monetary, the value could be promotional, and I think that's important too. Like making sure that at least you're getting credited for it too, because sometimes people might want to use something and reach, like what Jeff said, reach out, find out, at least get credited, get associated with it. If they're using it for something, it might help you just to get that promotional thing too. So yeah, definitely always stay on top of that. I'm going to just put up Jeff's email here. So Jeff Wilson mentorship at gmail.com. So if you want to reach out to him, and if you have any like Q&A, we like to always kind of give more time. You might need to think about things, or if you have some ideas you've been putting together, send Jeff an email. He'd be happy to see those. You can also send me emails if you have any questions about the creator space, or tech comments or anything, or some of the software that we've been demonstrating over the last while. Send it to me, Tom at tbmcs.ca. That would be fantastic. And yeah, so I just want to thank all our partners in making this project happen. So we have the Canada Council for the Arts, we have the Blue Mountains Public Library, Collingwood Public Library, Wasaga Beach Public Library, and all of the libraries are fully equipped with the digital arts computer, so be sure to check them out as things are open. You can access the 27-inch iMacs, and then there's also the technology in general. We have iPads with the Apple Pencils, so go and feel free to use the software, the computers, and go and explore your artistic endeavors and illustration, comics, and keep things going. And we will see everybody soon. So thanks again for joining us, and we'll see some of you hopefully in person soon, and we'll continue the virtual journey as well. So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.